If you're a high school basketball player that has hopes of playing in college, one of the most important components in your recruiting process is the highlight video that you make to send to college coaches. Well, today I want to talk about some of the mistakes that most players make when putting together a recruiting video and how you can stand out in the crowd. Let's jump in and discuss. Welcome back to Heart Smart Together. I'm Coach Dave. I'm here every week to help basketball players become the smart, confident players that coaches love. So throughout my coaching career, both at the high school level and at the college level, I've seen tons and tons of recruiting highlight videos, okay? That players, parents, people have put together for players in order to promote them through the recruiting process. And the recruiting process has changed over the years, right? There are so many players that are reaching out to coaches that coaches do not have the time or the bandwidth to know about all the players out there. Their email inbox is inundated with players that want them to watch their highlight video. Okay? So they don't have time, one, to watch them all, and two, when they finally click on somebody's video, because they're so intrigued they finally click on their video, you don't have a lot of time to stand out. So we're going to talk about some ways to stand out because the recruiting video has become such an important component in your recruiting process, because your recruiting process is really kind of your first job search, right? You are searching for a program that's a fit for you, a college that's a fit for you, but you're searching for a coach that's a fit for you that you can go play for, okay? It's really your first job search. So, and things have changed as well because of the dynamics such as the transfer portal. Coaches have found, we can recruit more developed players out of the transfer portal. We can recruit players that we have more evidence of what they can do, what they can bring to our program at the college level out of the transfer portal. So that's made it even more difficult from the high school perspective to get the attention of coaches, to get them to go, we need to start looking further at this recruit, okay? And that's why it's so important that you need to stand out with your video. So we're going to talk about some mistakes that I've seen in these recruiting videos that are put together and how you can stand out. Before I get into those details, I always like to give you a free gift just for listening in, just for watching the video. If you haven't already downloaded the 8 intangible skills that coaches love to see in players, ways that you can show off these skills both on and off the court, put it in a checklist form. You can simply go to the link in the description below or go to hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles and I'll be sure to get you that free checklist. So, what are some of the mistakes that the typical player makes when putting together their video, and how can you avoid those mistakes? How can you stand out? Well, one is a lot of players assume that a coach is going to watch their entire video. So they put together a video thinking, okay, well, coach is going to watch the whole thing. As I said, coaches have so many emails on a daily basis coming into them from recruits that want to play for their program or want to explore playing for their program. One, we'll have to make a whole new episode about how to get them to actually click on your video link, but once they click on your video link, you got to capture their attention in like 20 seconds. You don't have a lot of time to stand out. You can't, It's not a build up movie where you can kind of like, save the best for last. You need to somehow stand out, okay? One of the ways that I think you can stand out is by right off the bat letting them know what they're about to see. And we'll talk about what they're going to see if you do this from a smart perspective. But, you could put a slide in front of each kind of group of clips that you're going to give them. Simple as that, telling them what they're about to see. You could, if you are an incredible editor or something, you could actually put some edits within the film where you're highlighting what you're doing and doing some captions and things like that. But you don't need to overcomplicate it. But you need to capture their attention with something within the first 20 seconds. And I think a good way to do that is to let them know what they're about to see and to intrigue them with that, okay? And what I want you to do, most highlight videos show off, like I said, from a fan's perspective. They're highlights. They don't show off enough of your basketball IQ. That's what we talk about on this channel all the time, developing your basketball IQ. That's what coaches want to see. Highly developed, smart basketball players. So why not let them know, hey, I'm going to show off my basketball IQ. Now, you're not going to put it that way. You're going to divide this up. We're going to talk about some ways that you could show off your basketball IQ in a highlight video on the offensive side, on the defensive side, from an intangibles perspective even, okay? So let's say that we're talking offense. What do I typically see in a highlight video? I see a string of shots made that could be bad shots, could be every made shot that a player ever made, right? Like, it's just a montage of made shots. It doesn't talk about the quality of the shots. Maybe they aren't even great shots. Maybe they're contested, bad shots. But because it comes from a fan's perspective, from a highlight, they put it in the highlight video, okay? I see a bunch of maybe passes that might not be the greatest passes. They happen to get through, but, coaches don't want to see a bunch of highlight around the back passes, right? So how can you set yourself apart from the offense perspective? Well, maybe that first slide talks about, you're not just going to see my shooting ability and maybe give your field goal percentage, but you're going to see my shot selection and my basketball IQ around shot selection. And I would show an entire possession where maybe you have a shot, but it's not a great shot. Maybe you make a pump fake or something like that and turn down that shot, move the ball on. You have movement throughout the offense, body moving, ball moving, and the ball comes back and finds you in an even better shot, and then you take and make that, okay? Your ability to distinguish maybe it was a good shot, but it wasn't a great shot, and you turned that down, got the ball back later in the possession, and made a great shot. Coaches love players that can distinguish between bad, good, and great shots. That shows off your basketball IQ. Instead of showing off some gambling passes that are spectacular and happen to get through, how about showing off, and I would just put ability as a playmaker, ability to engage multiple defenders. How about showing off your ability to engage multiple defenders under control and set up your teammates, right? Highlight your playmaking ability. How about your ability to get into the paint under control with a jump stop, being crafty with pass fakes and pump fakes? Your ability to increase the offense for other players, okay? Your playmaking ability, not these crazy around the back, on the run passes that don't show off your great playmaking ability. It shows off maybe a highlight that doesn't make you look like a very smart player. Okay? So you might want to highlight that on the offensive end. Okay? Your control in the paint, your shot selection, your engaging multiple defenders, your craftiness with fakes. That is things that might attract the attention and get the coach to watch the next clip, which might be on the defensive end. Okay? Now on the defensive end, what I see on a lot of videos is a lot of gambling steals. You know, I watch it and I cringe. I'm like, they opened up. If they don't get that steal, their teammates are left at a disadvantage. It's not great defense. It's bad footwork. It's gambling. It's not great defense. How about if you had a slide that talked about how throughout this possession you're going to see me defend on ball, one pass away, weak side, and finishing the defense. Now that is something, if you can stop the ball, you stay in front of them, they have to move the ball on, maybe you're one pass away, you have great footwork, you're communicating with your teammate, you're in the gap, you're still aware of the player you're guarding, you stop the drive coming your direction, now they move the ball and you happen to be in a weak side position, you're still aware of the player you're guarding, you're not getting backdoored, you're not unaware, you're aware of the ball, you're communicating with your teammates. Okay, you finish the defense, shot goes up, you make contact with an opposing player, you box out, you pursue the ball, you secure the defensive rebound by finishing the defense. If you've got a possession where you go through all those different, elements of a defensive possession and you can stop a drive by taking a charge when it wasn't even your player, now that's a highlight reel that a coach wants to see. And you let them know what they're going to see, right? You put a few of those clips together, this intrigues a coach. This intrigues a coach versus some of the fan highlight things that I've seen so often on these highlight reels. Then the third thing that you can show off, and I would leave this to the end, but if you've captured the coach's attention in the first 20 seconds and you've kept it throughout this video, you might have an opportunity to put in a section for your intangibles, right? What are your intangibles? Running over to help players off the court that when they took a charge, right? Contributing from the bench, helping teammates get better, out of a timeout, to putting your arm around a teammate and giving them reminders of what you need to accomplish during that next possession. Celebrating the wins of other players. Actually, celebrating the pass that led to your score. Not celebrating your score, man, pointing at the player, great pass, right? Little things like that shows what you can contribute from a culture standpoint to a program. And the slide that you put maybe just says culture builder, right? High IQ offense, high IQ defense, culture builder. Those things stand out to college coaches. You've got to show off your high IQ on the offensive end. You've got to show off your high IQ on the defensive end. You've got to show off your intangibles in helping them develop a strong culture or fitting into their culture. And then you get the opportunity to continue that relationship with that coach, to continue that recruiting process with that coach that you sent your highlight video to. Maybe they get out and they see you at one of the tournaments that you're going to play in over the summer. Maybe, they get out and see you at a high school game. Whatever the case might be, you keep the dialogue going. But your recruiting video, the video you send them, is so mission critical to capturing their attention. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully, hearing some of the mistakes that people make and some of the ways that maybe you can stand out from the crowd was helpful. If so, give me a like, give me a comment below. Do you have a highlight video that maybe you're rethinking now? You might, go grab some other clips. Maybe you enhance it. Maybe you're just thinking of putting one together and now you're kind of thinking of what possessions you might want to put into that video. Whatever the case might be, let me know. I want to hear about what's going on with you. And until next week, remember to play hard, play smart, and play together. See you next week.